FA Cup history dates back to the turn of the century. In 1901, they were the last non-league team to win the trophy when, as a Southern League club, they beat Sheffield United 3-1 in a replay. Down the years, they've won the Cup a record 8 times, one better than Aston Villa and Manchester United. One of their most memorable wins came against Manchester's other team in 1981, in a game that went to a replay after City's Tommy Hutchison was unlucky enough to score for both sides.
And that was Hoddle. Oh, Hutchison, it's in! Tommy Hutchison has scored at both ends, if you call it an own goal. Hoddle will get the congratulations from Tottenham, but it went in on Tommy Hutchison. Oh, how cruel cup finals can be.
In the replay, Spurs' Argentinian imports Osvaldo Ardiles and Ricardo Villa made their own piece of FA Cup history.
So still Spurs with Ardiles. Brilliant. It is Archibald has got a chance. Oh, good save, Ricky Villa! Ricky Villa scored! And it was made by his fellow Argentine, Ozzy Ardiles. After 8 minutes, the man who was taken off on Saturday, driven in by Ardiles. Archibald was blocked by Corrigan. Good goalkeeping, but he couldn't stop the rebound. Villa the scorer. Ranson with the kick. Miller, Reeves underneath it. And now Hutchison to McKenzie. Oh, tremendous goal! Steve McKenzie. Fabulous shot. An absolutely outstanding volley by Steve McKenzie, only 19. And just watch this one fly in. First of all, Paul Miller up to head the ball out for Spurs. Then Reeves competes. Then it comes out again for Hutchison. And McKenzie hits it. And look at that. On by Reeves to Bennett. Paul Miller trying to check Bennett. Down goes Bennett. Penalty! Penalty! Keith Hackett had no doubts. David Bennett has won a penalty for City. That penalty has never been missed in an FA Cup final at Wembley. The last one was 1962 for Spurs. And here comes Reeves, and it's there. Kevin Reeves keeps up the record. And Paul Miller, unhappy with the decision. Kevin Reeves puts City in front. Driving the ball, right foot low inside that left-hand post of Alexic, who went the right way. Hoddle. Oh, the chance here for Archibald. Crooks! And the double act works again. Spurs stayed onside. Archibald went in first. Garth Crooks scored. That's his 22nd of the season. It comes after 71 minutes. Bennett's making his run now. It's come to McKenzie. What a good tackle by Graham Roberts. And now Galvin. Spurs have got 2 to his right. And Galvin wants to go on his own. Villa. And still Ricky Villa. What a fantastic run. He scored. Amazing goal by Ricky Villa. All of a sudden, Spurs are in front again. And look what happened here. The big man from Argentina went round 1, 2, 3. Joe Corrigan came to block, and Villa squeezed it in.
And Spurs held on to win their 6th FA Cup thanks to Villa's marvellous goal. The following year, Keith Birkinshaw's team won again. Tottenham became the only team ever to retain the Cup on 2 separate occasions. Leicester defender Mike Whitlow was celebrating his 25th birthday, but on a day when he should have been receiving gifts, he's handing them out. His bungled clearance put visiting Barnsley a goal up after 27 minutes. His teammates weren't singing happy birthday. In the second half, the party poopers grab a 2-0 advantage. Leicester are up against it. Neil Redfearn's volley seems destined to make Barnsley the 5th Yorkshire club through to round 4. But it isn't long before the home side start to claw their way back into the tie. After 66 minutes, they employ the direct route. It pays off. The Barnsley defence concede an obvious penalty. Now, Leicester have never won the FA Cup. They've been runners-up on 4 occasions. They seem determined not to be the bridesmaids in this tie. Steve Thompson's spot kick brings them a goal back. There are just 12 minutes left when the 19,000 crowd get their reward. A well-worked move that ends when Thompson's through ball releases David Oldfield in the box. He crashes home the equaliser. Even so, Barnsley start as favourites in the replay. Southend have never had a great FA Cup tradition. Their best run was back in 1926. They reached the 5th round. They haven't made it to round 4 for 17 years. Stan Collymore's 6-minute goal changed all that. A 1-0 win over Millwall. Now they face Huddersfield Town. First Division Cambridge have reached the quarter-finals twice in the last 3 seasons and hammered Sheffield Wednesday 4-0 at the same stage a couple of years ago. History started to repeat itself after 50 minutes when Mick Heathcote scrambled Cambridge into the lead at the Abbey Stadium. All the action in this game was crammed into a frantic 7-minute spell. First, Wednesday drew level. American international John Hark squeezing a low drive past keeper John Vaughan. Manager Trevor Francis reaping the benefits of an attacking policy. 2 minutes later, the Yorkshiremen regained control. Chris Waddle involved in the build-up again. The Swedish international fullback Roland Nielsen on the overlap. A beautifully judged cross headed home at the near post by Mark Bright. Wednesday's reward, a home tie against last year's beaten finalists Sunderland. Without a win or a goal in 5 games, Mike Walker's faltering Norwich side couldn't have asked for a trickier opening tie. Coventry were looking to set up a repeat of the '89 final against Spurs in the next round, but Darren Beckford's 47th minute strike means Norwich go forward to meet Spurs. Tottenham's FA Cup history dates back to the turn of the century. In 1901, they were the last non-league team to win the trophy, when, as a Southern League club, they beat Sheffield United 3-1 in a replay. Down the years, they've won the Cup a record 8 times, one better than Aston Villa and Manchester United. One of their most memorable wins came against Manchester's other team in 1981, in a game that went to a replay, after City's Tommy Hutchison was unlucky enough to score for both sides.
And that was Hoddle. Oh, Hutchison, it's in! Tommy Hutchison has scored at both ends, if you call it an own goal. Hoddle will get the congratulations from Tottenham, but it went in on Tommy Hutchison. Oh, how cruel cup finals can be.
In the replay, Spurs' Argentinian imports Osvaldo Ardiles and Ricardo Villa made their own piece of FA Cup history.
So still Spurs with Ardiles. Brilliant. And his Archibald has got a chance. Good save. Ricky Villa! Ricky Villa scored. And it was made by his fellow Argentine, Ozzy Ardiles. After 8 minutes, the man who was taken off on Saturday, driven in by Ardiles. Archibald was blocked by Corrigan. Good goalkeeping, but he couldn't stop the rebound. Villa the scorer. Ranson with the kick. Miller, Reeves underneath it. And now Hutchison to McKenzie. Oh, tremendous goal! Steve McKenzie. Fabulous shot. Absolutely outstanding volley by Steve McKenzie, only 19. And just watch this one fly in. First of all, Paul Miller up to head the ball out for Spurs. Then Reeves competes. Then it comes out again for Hutchison. And McKenzie hits it, and look at that. On by Reeves to Bennett. Paul Miller trying to check Bennett. Down goes Bennett. Penalty! Penalty! Keith Hackett had no doubts. David Bennett has won a penalty for City. That penalty has never been missed in an FA Cup final at Wembley. The last one was 1962 for Spurs. And here comes Reeves, and it's there. Kevin Reeves keeps up the record. And Paul Miller unhappy with the decision. Kevin Reeves puts City in front. Driving the ball, right foot low inside that left-hand post of Alexic, who went the right way. Hoddle. Oh, the chance here for Archibald. Crooks! And the double act works again. Spurs stayed onside. Archibald went in first. Garth Crooks scored. That's his 22nd of the season. It comes after 71 minutes. Bennett's making his run now. It's come to McKenzie. What a good tackle by Graham Roberts. And now Galvin. Spurs have got two to his right, and Galvin wants to go on his own. Villiers. And still Ricky Villiers. What a fantastic run. He scored. Amazing goal by Ricky Villiers. All of a sudden, Spurs are in front again, and look what happened here. The big man from Argentina went round 1, 2, 3. Joe Corrigan came to block, and Villiers squeezed it in.
And Spurs held on to win their 6th FA Cup thanks to Villiers' marvellous goal. The following year, Keith Birkinshaw's team won again. Tottenham became the only team ever to retain the cup on 2 separate occasions.
A blank scoreboard at half-time and a dressing room dressing down from manager Kevin Keegan provoked Newcastle into reproducing their First Division form in the FA Cup. Gavin Peacock, the player who opened the scoring 4 minutes after the restart, when David Kelly's shot was parried by keeper Paul Musselwhite, leaving Peacock a simple finish for his 16th goal of the season. And it was Peacock who scored Newcastle's next goal after some excellent work in midfield by Liam O'Brien. This time Peacock had a more difficult job, but his left foot shot cleverly directed out of Musselwhite's reach. 2-0 to Newcastle after 62 minutes. 5 minutes later, a lofted ball let Robert Lee in behind the Vale defence, and once he was there was no stopping him. His first goal in front of his new fans at St James's Park since his move from Charlton. 10 minutes from time, Peacock was denied his hat-trick by Musselwhite, but on hand to make it 4 for Newcastle was Kevin Sheedy, who went to Wembley with Everton 3 times in the 80s, but never came away with a winner's medal. He could still get one with Newcastle this season. Last year's league champions Leeds, with just 2 wins in their last 14 games, didn't look confident against their First Division opponents, and it was Charlton who took the lead midway through the second half. Gary Nelson claiming the goal. The celebrations didn't last long though. Less than a minute after the restart, Gordon Strachan's cross picked out Gary Speed, who heads home the equaliser. But Leeds still face a difficult replay at the Valley. The weather claimed almost half the third-round ties, but at Derby's baseball ground, the game went ahead despite the conditions, and Craig Short emerged through the fog to give Derby the lead on 27 minutes. There were just 6 minutes left when Stockport equalised. Kevin Francis, the target man, and substitute Brian McCord pounced on the loose ball to score against his old club. The replay seemed inevitable, but 90 seconds into injury time, a nightmare for Stockport defender David Miller, who heads past his own goalkeeper Neil Edwards to give Derby a late victory. 2-1 in the Battle of the Counties, and it's Derby who go into the fourth round. It should have been a comfortable afternoon at Main Road for Premier League City against second division strugglers Reading, but it was the away team who took the lead seconds before half-time, and quite a goal it was. Scott Taylor chesting it down and striking a crisp half volley past Tony Coton. 1-0 and another upset on the cards. Well, Reading held on to late in the second half, but City didn't panic. Gary Flickcroft's superb through ball, Mike Sheeran's finish. In 1968, Reading also drew a cup tie at Main Road, then lost the replay 7-0. They'll hope for better this time round. West Brom were undefeated in their last 9 games, but West Ham gave them a footballing lesson at the Hawthorns and always looked likely winners once Clive Allen had given them the lead on the half hour. His cousin Martin supplying the through ball and the congratulations. West Ham were 2 up before half-time, and that proved to be enough. More than a touch of good fortune about the second, as Mark Robson's cross somehow found its way into the back of the net. So West Ham, FA Cup winners in 1964, 75 and 80, are still in the mix for 93. Oxford seemed to be on their way to a hard-fought victory in South Wales when they took a late lead against Swansea through Colin West's 78th minute goal. But within a minute, the Welshmen were level, Richard Cusack forcing the corner home to earn them a replay at Oxford. Brentford were another First Division team boasting a 9-match unbeaten run, but that was before the arrival of Grimsby Town. The visitors were in the lead after 37 minutes, Clive Mendonca supplying the precise finish. Brentford boss Phil Holder picked up the Manager of the Month award before the game, but was forced to admit that his team, as he said, lacked fire in their bellies for the tie. His opposite number, Alan Buckley, could only have been impressed with his own side's performance as Jim Dobbin finished a sweeping move with a sweet chip. 2-0, and Grimsby joined the FA Cup dreamers. Watford hadn't made it beyond the third round in the previous 2 seasons, and it didn't look like it would be their year again when unfortunate defender David Holdsworth headed into his own goal after 13 minutes to give visiting Wolves an early lead. But before half-time, the home side were level. Lee Nogan heading home the corner to give them hope as they headed for the dressing room. In the second half, Wolves took over. After 68 minutes, goalkeeper Perry Suckling can only parry Steve Bull's shot, Keith Downing driving home the rebound. Players and fans alike began to sense victory. 5 minutes later, Mark Rankin's cross and Andy Mutch's diving header. The celebrations became even more extravagant. The end came as thankful relief for Watford as Wolves started to run riot. England international Steve Bull completing a comfortable 4-1 away win. Would it really have been a surprise if First Division high flyers Tranmere had knocked out Premier League strugglers Oldham? Well, it certainly looked likely when Rovers won a first-half penalty for Paul Gerrard's challenge on Pat Nevin. Oldham thought it was a dive, but referee Robert Hart had no doubt. John Aldridge was the first man to miss a cup final penalty at Wembley, but that was before he adopted his controversial stutter step method. It was enough to fox Gerrard, and Tranmere were 1-0 up. Within 3 minutes it was 2, and Oldham were hanging by a thread. Former Spurs midfield man Neil McNabb spreads it wide to John Morrissey, and the man hurling himself headlong at the cross, the diminutive figure of Pat Nevin, who's having a happier time at Tranmere than he did across the Mersey at Everton. Oldham came blazing out after the interval, and 10 minutes in, Neil Adams with a dangerous cross, and Ian Olney forcing it home from close range. 2-1 now. Before too long, Oldham were back level, and they had Norwegian international Gunnar Halle to thank for it. He does all the hard work in this move before finally supplying the cross for the late arriving Paul Bernard. John Aldridge was later sent off as tempers flared, but these two will go to a replay.
The last time Leeds made it all the way to Wembley was 20 years ago, when Billy Bremner led out the likes of Paul Reaney, John Giles, Norman Hunter and Alan Clark. Many consider this to be the best club side ever to play in the English League. No one really expected second division Sunderland to be a match for Don Revie's team. What followed is FA Cup history.
Allen's gone wide on the right, but that's surely the goalkeeper's. And Hughes right there, not allowing Harvey to take any sort of chance. Hughes with the kick. Porterfield! And Sunderland have done what they threatened to do. The ball went spare. A good jump by Watson there, but the ball went loose to Porterfield. He'd got room and time, and the finish was deadly. Madeley. Bremner. Good turn, ball space. And nobody there to pick up the empties. Bremner disappointed. He bought himself room brilliantly there. The shot well struck. Montgomery couldn't hold it, and Malone gave away the corner. Reaney's gone up right on the outside again. It's Bremner. Montgomery under pressure. Cherry, and no goal. Montgomery fouled. And he was certainly hit. He got the ball cleanly. Clear foul. Giles. Jones. Marini. Leeds are really pushing forward. Cherry, brilliant save, and Lorimer makes it 1-each. No. Astonishing. They're appealing to the referee. Lorimer thought he'd scored. Most of the crowd did, but it wasn't it. Malone. Stewart. Kerr. Hughes. To Kerr, number 7. Should be the goalkeepers. A foul by Hallam. Two minutes of injury time gone. The referee looked at the watch, and Sunderland have won the cup from the second division.
Sunderland celebrate one of the greatest upsets that Wembley Stadium has ever seen. Bob Stokoe's side became the first second division team to win the FA Cup in 42 years, thanks to the fantastic Jim Montgomery. But they had to wait till last year for a Wembley return. Last season's beaten finalists started their campaign in impressive style, taking the lead against struggling Notts County after 34 minutes. Slack defending in the build-up from Neil Warnock's team. Nothing shabby, though, about Sean Cunnington's finish. The defeat that followed would cost the county manager his job within the week. Don Goodman sealed Warnock's fate 20 minutes from time. There's a neat 1-2 with John Kay on the edge of the box. Goodman in the clear, he supplies another decisive finish. 2-0, and Malcolm Crosby's Sunderland are on that Wembley trail again. The last non-league side in the competition went down to an opening 23-minute blitz from 3rd Division Crewe. A nervous defence conceded an early penalty for handball. The rout was underway. Dave McKerney confidently dispatched the spot kick, just 2 minutes gone. It was soon clear that Marines' dreams of glory would go no further when 14 minutes later, Gareth Wally's dribbler rebounded off the post, and Rob Edwards accepted the simple task of tapping it home. 2-0. While Crewe have produced stars like Rob Jones, Jeff Thomas and David Platt under manager Dario Gradi, there's plenty of talent in his current side. Phil Clarkson making it 3-0 on the night. In the second half, Crewe eased up. Marine grabbed a goal through Keith Johnson. But even they realised their giant-killing run had come to an end. All square entering the last minute at Northampton. But despite Barry Richardson's superb save from Bermudan international Sean Gota, the home side went out. Jonathan Howard followed up and gave Rotherham the last word. This was Plymouth's player-manager Peter Shilton's 83rd FA Cup tie. But all that experience couldn't help him when Neil Thompson's 30-yard screamer flashed in after 6 minutes. There were better moments for Shilton in a fairly even first half, and Steve Castle produced a strike every bit as good as Thompson's to give Plymouth a deserved equaliser. In the second half, Premier League Ipswich was stirred into action by Bulgarian international Bonto Gunchev. His cross for Jason Dazelle restored their lead. I never have guessed it from Dazelle's reaction. A late penalty gave Ipswich a flattering 3-1 win. But there was no question that Chris Kiwomya was brought down in the box by Steve McCall. 43-year-old Shilton beaten for a third time as Steve Whitten slotted it home. Ipswich, not Plymouth, go forward to round 4. Cup favourites Manchester United struggled to put away near neighbours Bury in the early stages at Old Trafford, but a new star sparked them into life. 18-year-old Keith Gillespie making his full debut. It was his cross that allowed Mike Phelan to score a rare goal. In the second half, Gillespie's dream start got even better. When Eric Cantona released him on the right, he had the confidence to take on the defence and beat Alan Kelly for the first goal in what promises to be a brilliant career. For now, it's enough to keep United in the cup. Premier League Oldham only managed to force a replay against First Division Tranmere thanks to a battling second-half fight back at Boundary Park. They knew the odds were against them away from home. Gerald Sinstad is the commentator.
McNabb is 10 and 7 is Morrissey. McNabb to Morrissey, checks back onto the right foot. And the header goes in, and Tranmere take the lead. Dispossessed, turned by Aldridge from Malkin to chase. Keeper couldn't pick it up, the net's empty, and will it go in? Yes it will, thank you very much, John Morrissey. The back pass rule claims another victim. Paul Gerrard found himself a yard outside his penalty area, took a stab at the ball, played it straight to Morrissey, and Morrissey's aim was cool and unerring. His 6th goal of the season, and it puts Tranmere Rovers 2-0 in front. Oh, that's beautifully done. Aldridge to Morrissey, and Morrissey attacking Barlow and losing him. It's opened it up and scored a brilliant goal. Lovely header from John Aldridge. Then Morrissey turning Barlow one way and then the other, drawing the keeper and drilling it into the empty net. His second of the night. It's now Tranmere 3, Oldham 0, and it's the First Division side who will be in round 4.
Wimbledon arrived at Goodison Park without a goal in nearly 8 hours football. Inevitably, it was John Fashanu who broke that drought after 35 minutes. In the second half, Robbie Earle added to Everton's problems, putting a second past 23-year-old debutant keeper Jason Curtin, standing in for the suspended Neville Southall. Everton threw everything into attack after that. It was centre-half Dave Watson who forced the ball home after 67 minutes. But they couldn't find an equaliser. Everton go out of the FA Cup. Oxford must have thought the hard work was over when they got second division Swansea back to the Manor for a replay. But after failing to take the lead in the first half, they suddenly found themselves 2 down with half an hour to play. First, John Cornforth, and then Andrew Legg found the net for Swansea to give them an unlikely cushion with the 4th round beckoning. But Oxford weren't finished. 3 minutes later, they won a penalty when Jason Bowen handled the ball under pressure. The Northern Ireland international Jim Magilton was the man with the responsibility of converting the kick. He showed no nerves. The First Division side had a lifeline. They took it with both hands. 10 minutes from time, Gary Smart's free kick was followed in by Joey Beecham. Oxford were level. Extra time came and went, and the first ever penalty shootout at the Manor was required to settle the issue. Oxford's youngest player, Chris Allen, failed on his attempt. Keith Walker didn't. Swansea City's travelling fans celebrated a memorable cup upset for the Welshman in a tie that went the full distance. Burnley were a minute away from victory in the first game, and they were in front again 16 minutes into the replay. Adrian Heath with his 3rd goal of this tie. But then their world fell around them as Brian Deane reeled off a hat-trick of headers in a fateful 25-minute period before half-time. Glyn Hodges supplied the cross for the first. And then Adrian Littlejohn picked out the England striker who hadn't scored at all for 10 weeks before this game. And finally, the Burnley defence waved the white flag, and David Barnes had no problem in finding an unmarked Deane who didn't even need to jump. 3-1, the Skids were well and truly under Burnley. In the second half, Adrian Littlejohn, sent off in the first game, made the right impression this time when he got on the end of Deane's cross to make it 4-1. The fight had long since been knocked out of Burnley, even though they did recover long enough to pull a goal back through Mark Mornington. 4-2, though, means defeat by anyone's standards. Chelsea spent the first half at Ayresome Park playing impressive football without any results. There were just 20 minutes left in the game when they finally got some reward. It came from an unexpected source. Graham Lasso's cross from the left eludes everyone except the Borough defender Nicky Moen. The ball trickles past Stephen Pears. Own goal, Chelsea 1, Middlesbrough 0. Kevin Hitchcock's having a flawless game in the Chelsea goal until he fumbles Jamie Pollock's cross under pressure from Paul Wilkinson. And Tommy Wright makes him pay a heavy price, firing home just 2 minutes after Chelsea had taken the lead. Things getting desperate for Chelsea in the closing minutes. A hopeful punt into the box finds the unmarked Willie Falconer. His lunge enough to give Middlesbrough a 2-1 victory and send Chelsea out of the FA Cup. Luton had only won once at home all season, and Bristol City looked the more likely to score early on. But against the run of play, Luton took the lead. Philip Gray thumped home David Priest's cross after 30 minutes. City's chances of a comeback evaporated 25 minutes into the second half, when after Gray's reckless challenge on Martin Scott, the City defender retaliated. Gray booked for the first offence. Scott sent off for his reaction. With 10 men, City couldn't find a way back. 9 minutes left. Paul Telfer's cross finds Kerry Hughes in space. He lashes home Luton's second. No cup glory for Bristol this season. No goals in the first game, but bottom of the table Gillingham in red found themselves 2-0 down early in the second half of the replay. First Phil Robinson and then Ian Dunn scored for Huddersfield to give them a comfortable lead. Gillingham saw a glimmer of hope when they won a penalty for goalkeeper Tony Elliott's deliberate trip on Neil Smith. Well, some thought Elliott lucky to stay on the field. Even so, he was beaten from the spot by Richard Green. But it's Huddersfield who will face Southend in round 4. It took a second-half equaliser at Main Road to earn Manchester City this second chance. But Reading knew they'd managed the same feat in the FA Cup 25 years ago and then lost the replay 7-0. They were quickly one down this time. Mike Sheron headed home after just 4 minutes. Reading kept it at 1 for almost half an hour, but then the defence parted once again to allow Rick Holden to score a remarkable solo effort. Looks to be losing control, but then he pulls the trigger. Steve Francis beaten for a second time. In the City goal, Tony Coton was leading a charmed life. And even when Reading got inside the 6-yard box, they couldn't beat him. The longer the game went on, the less likely they seemed to score. City, driven on by player-manager Peter Reid, started to pull Reading apart, with fullback Terry Phelan virtually joining the attack as an extra winger. After 68 minutes, Sheron slips a 1-2 with Gary Flitcroft through an embarrassed defender's legs, and Flitcroft finishes to make it 3-0. For a while it looked as though they might get 7 once again. But City settled for 4. The tireless Niall Quinn closing their account after 72 minutes. It looked easy in the end, but there was a sense of relief in the celebrations. First Division rivals Barnsley in red and Leicester in all blue had shared 4 goals at Filbert Street a week earlier. They appeared to be 2 extremely well-matched teams. In the replay, they proved to be virtually inseparable. Clive Tilsley's the commentator.
Led by Walsh. Robinson couldn't quite gather it. Thompson did. This is Joachim leading the breakout now for Leicester, and there are plenty in it. He's got Mills steaming up at his shoulder. Uses him as the decoy. Goes alone! It's just a brilliant goal by Julian Joachim. 18 years of age and the world at his feet. There's a real buzz around Filbert Street every time this young man picks the ball up. He's only been on the scene since the start of October, and that's why they're so excited about him. It looks like he'll be off to the World Youth Championships in Australia in March with the England team, and that will be Leicester City's loss. Pearson's header. Curry. Throw in to Barnsley. Biggins. Good turn. Shot blocked. Still a chance. Ah! What a chance for Rummel. He'll toss and turn a little tonight, thinking about that one, unless Barnsley can find a late equaliser. Biggins shot deflected. His first and second touches just couldn't quite dig it out for him, but it didn't miss by much, did it? Really has been an excellent contest in view of the overhead conditions. Archdeacon got hold of that, didn't he? Is that a good equaliser, or is that a good equaliser? Last minute, last throw of the dice. And Owen Archdeacon has matched Julian Joachim's first half effort for Leicester. Great strike. Oakwell is throbbing to the celebrations of another memorable goal. Bollimore with a corner, dealt with by Gibson. Out as far as Robinson. Brendan O'Connell was doing all he could just to get a touch on it, because that's all that it needed. But Mark Robinson's shot skidded wide of the post. This is Bollimore. Robinson. Oldfield felt that okay. Kerry with the cross. Pearson just couldn't quite apply the final touch. He was big enough and he got high enough, but he was under pressure. Tempting cross too, wasn't it? But a good challenge by Smith made it difficult for him. Archdeacon. Cut out by Smith, one on by Pearson. This is Biggins. Nothing wrong with Kevin Poole's hands. And Biggins' shot was straight at him. Either side is going to cause a problem for the injured Leicester goalkeeper. Thompson with the corner. Ormond Royd's there, great chance for Walsh! And he knows it. Just crept over the crossbar. Classic near post corner. Touch on, unhinged Barnsley, but Walsh was always stretching for it. Biggins. Bollimore again. Lofted in by Redfern. Wayne Biggins trying to make something of it. O'Connell with a real chance! And somehow Kevin Poole just fell on it on the goal line. It's about all he can manage at the moment. Brendan O'Connell in a great position from Biggins' cross. Didn't make any sort of decent contact onto his arm and into the arms of Poole.
The final whistle meant that after 210 minutes the sides were still level. A game that produced two spectacular long-range goals would be settled from the penalty spot. Both teams scored with their first kicks, so with Leicester to go next and 4 more attempts each, there's still nothing between them.
Gary Mills was Leicester City's penalty taker last season. Oh, he's missed it! All that experience. And Butler didn't even have to make a stop. High and wide. And Gary Mills has to sweat. It'll be Wayne Biggins to try and make it advantage Barnsley. They lead. Biggins has done his bit. Driven powerfully. David Oldfield next. It was his equaliser that made the replay necessary. And he's again kept Leicester City's interest in the outcome of the tie alive. Owen Archdeacon, whose magnificent blast in the final minute of normal time took us to extra time. Strokes this one in 3-2 Barnsley. They haven't missed one yet. Archdeacon's had quite a night. "32-year-old Colin Gibson, who's been through so much down the years with Aston Villa and Manchester United. But this is a real test of your nerve and experience. And he's up to it. But if Barnsley keeps scoring, none of this will matter. Young Wayne Bollimore, 22 years of age. A free transfer capture from Manchester United. And he's put Barnsley one kick away. Bollimore, Archdeacon, Biggins and Curry all successful for Barnsley. It means that Steve Walsh simply has to score. Here goes Walsh. Oh, he got his hands to it but couldn't quite keep it out. And Walsh takes us down to the very last kick. So nearly Butler the hero. But if Barnsley are to have a hero here and now, it's going to be Neil Redfern. It's 4-4 in the penalty shootout. It's the last kick against an injured goalkeeper. Opportunity knocks for Neil Redfern. Come on down. Oh, would you believe it? Kevin Poole keeps Leicester City alive. It was well struck at a decent sort of height, but a good save, a miraculous save for a keeper carrying an injury. 4-4 at the end of the penalty competition. We go to sudden death. Lee Philpott. He saved another. And once again, Barnsley one kick away. Philpott denied by Butler. Captain's contribution. And Barnsley are on the verge once more. 24-year-old Mark Robinson, the right back. He looks frightened to death, bless him. It all comes down to this. Mark Robinson is the hero, and Barnsley are through.
Certainly the tensest finish of the third round. Next, Barnsley play West Ham. And now, as we look forward to the fourth round, we begin by looking back.
4 days after ending Liverpool's Cup hopes, Bolton were on the road again, trying to do the same against First Division Wolves. 11 minutes in, Scott Green and Andy Walker exchange passes, and it's Green who beats Dave Besant on loan from Chelsea to give the Giant Killers another early lead. Before half-time, Bolton make it 2. Green's shot takes a looping deflection off Derek Mountfield, and John McGinley's uncontested header gives him his 5th goal of the campaign and keeps Bolton's Wembley dreams alive. They're definitely the team of the moment. Both these teams are at the wrong end of their respective divisions, but it was Second Division Huddersfield who took the lead. Kieran O'Regan's free kick is deflected past Paul Sansom by Graham Mitchell after 27 minutes. On the stroke of half-time, Southend are level. Stan Collymore with his 7th goal for the club since his £100,000 move from Crystal Palace. No one else has scored for Southend in the Cup this season. 7 minutes into the second half, Collymore keeps up that record with a fantastic solo goal that puts Southend into round 5 and equals their best ever performance in the FA Cup. Hartlepool warmed up for their 4th round tie by recording an FA Cup song. A little premature, you might think, but the club are in danger of being closed down with debts of £250,000, and they need to explore every possible source of revenue. The chairman kept them in business for this 4th round tie with a visit to the High Courts. but the journey to Sheffield proved too much for them. Alan Cork, a cup winner with Wimbledon's Crazy Gang in 1988, grabbing the only goal of the game 2 minutes into the second half. No goals in the first half hour, but then Wayne Biggins and Andy Rammell put their heads together to give Barnsley a 2-goal lead before half-time. First, Rammell nods in when Ludek Miklosko can only parry Biggins' original effort. Then the same combination steer Neil Redfern's corner into the West Ham net. Biggins the instigator again, and it's Rammell's head that gets the decisive touch 2 minutes before the break. West Ham are heavily involved in the First Division promotion race and on league form should take Barnsley in their stride. The second half starts encouragingly for them. They win a penalty when, after Tim Breaker crosses, Trevor Morley is bundled over by Phil Gridlett. Lee Butler kept Barnsley in the cup with his heroics in the penalty shootout against Leicester, but he went the wrong way for Morley's kick, and West Ham now just a goal adrift. 2 goals in 5 minutes finally sealed West Ham's fate. Again, Miklosko can only parry David Curry's shot, and this time it's Redfern who's in position to pick up the leftovers. 3-1 to Barnsley. 4 minutes later, Andy Rammell completes his first ever hat-trick with a goal of the game. A 25-yarder that's certainly worth a second look. Perhaps it took a deflection off Steve Potts, but no denying the quality of the strike, and no doubt about the result. Barnsley 4, West Ham 1.
Wiggly took it beautifully, and still can't find the hole. Yes, he can! That's a brilliant goal! That's a brilliant goal!
Six is Mark Pembridge. Keeper's come for it. Oh, he didn't get to it! The keeper came, and he just didn't get it. .15 minutes to go. Little flick on by Brown. Walker, 1-1. Andy Walker's 24th of the season. And what a cup tie we have here. Well, there's no Bolton Wall. It's surely too far to think about that. Flick on by Gabbiadini. He's there. He's done it again. 2 goals for the defender, Craig Shaw. Really thinking that there are things to chase now. They've already got a Wembley occasion booked in the final of the Anglo-Italian competition. Chipped up Williams, still Williams, 3-1. Derby on their way into the quarter-finals.
Decisive move that we've seen from Ipswich. Outcome is corner for Neil Thompson to take. And that's gone in off John Walk. 2-0 to Ipswich, and the corner from Thompson plays off. Touched a Grimsby head all the way through. I think it may have been Paul Futcher, and that just planted it nicely for John Walk to get his 6th goal of the season.
the support from Phelan ahead of him. Reed's got into a good position too. Here's Phelan though. Manchester City have got 4 forward in support. White arriving, had to score. It took him 2 attempts, but David White has given Manchester City the lead. Corner kick. Rick Holden will take it. Shearer with a flick, wins in there. I think it was blocked by White. It's over the line now. Manchester City have doubled their money. David White gets the congratulations. And those City fans sense that they're on the way to the last 8.
This is Giggs, and that's absolutely brilliant. And Ryan Giggs confirms his ever-growing reputation. On the half hour, Manchester United make the breakthrough in this FA Cup tie. Free kick to Sheffield United. They've really packed the penalty area here. Hoyland goes in, and it's an equaliser. It's Hoyland. Jamie Hoyland. They're level. Forward to Carr. Gale's in the penalty area this time. That's Bryson, and there was Gale, not far away from it. Back in again by Hoyland. Gale gets up again. Hodges is there! Oh, it's 2-1! And Glyn Hodges scores the second goal for Sheffield United in the 41st minute. And Manchester United look at each other and just don't know what's happened back there.
David Howells, Neil Ruddock, who's come forward with increasing frequency. Spurs enjoying territorial supremacy. As for Barmby, back post, it's in! Who got the touch? Anderton's claiming it. Howells was there with him. Tottenham lead. Ruddock got a head on. Sheringham puts it in. 2-0 Spurs. Darren Anderton goes outside Elkins. Good ball in. Barmby's header. Fabulous goal. Wonderful strike. And Tottenham are running riot. Oh, what a sensational goal. What precision. Flicked on by Fashanu. Dobbs has pulled one back. Maybe that's given Wimbledon something to think positively about. Holdsworth. It's right under the bar. Cockrell's forced it in.